Caroline Douglas.
And I'm Frank Sampson.
We are here at the Boulder Public Library in Boulder, Colorado, and we are surrounded by all of my sculpture and Frank's paintings, and we are very excited to be here.
I met Caroline in the same situation 10 years ago, and we had a show here together, and so from there on we became very good friends. Now this is 10 years later, and we're back with our anniversary show.
When we came together to do that first show, we were so delighted to see each other's work because we had similar imagery and similar colors and similar textures. It was almost as if we had walked in the same dream together, right, Frank?
Yes, of course, yeah. I think Caroline literally has dreams that are specific about her work. With me, it's just more of a general feeling of sitting by myself and letting my fantasy go. And I wouldn't call it necessarily, I call it a daydream.
So I've always been an artist since I was a child and done all kinds of art, painting, drawing, ceramics, everything, poetry. I had a severe head injury. This was about 15 years ago. And my head was crushed in a cherry picker. So I had no idea what the journey after that involved. I had to relearn how to talk. I had to relearn how to walk. And artwork is what actually brought my brain back into balance.
I came from a farm, and my mother was a school teacher up in North Dakota in the 30s, and so we had lots of books around, and she would tell stories all the time. I had 4 brothers, and that's how she'd entertain us. And so all the way through my work, you'll find a narrative aspect, I believe, and it's because I love the fact she told such beautiful stories. However, I didn't really start painting until I was about 20 years old in undergraduate school. I had just fallen in love with art, and I was so happy that my father was able to help me go to college and study painting because my brothers were all aiming more towards the farming thing. And so I felt kind of blessed by that.
When I work on my pieces, often I have an idea from the dream that I want to accomplish. Like, if I have a dream of these, I'll start with the legs, and I have to let them firm up as I go, and then add the belly, and then slowly add the body to the whole piece. And I've done this for about 40 years, so I kind of intuit when it's a good time to stop and start and let it dry, that kind of thing. Other times, I just start with a lump of clay, and I just free associate and just see what the clay wants to say at that moment. I also feel like what I'm trying to communicate with my pieces is a feeling. When I have the dream and I see the animal or the woman with the animal in my dreams, I feel this incredible joy or serenity or some kind of deep insight, something that really affects me, and I remember that in my dream, and I want to convey that while I'm working. What I'm striving for is just communicating my joy at being able to create with my hands and express myself. So I feel like I'm one lucky person. So my process with the clay pieces is I use stoneware for most everything. Sometimes I use porcelain, but then I will fire them once to a bisque state and then glaze them with glazes that I mix myself with all kinds of chemicals. And so then I put them in the big salt kiln. So these are all just glazes that I have some idea of what they're going to look like. But once I put them in the kiln, throw the salt in at 2,300 degrees, I really don't know what's going to happen. So often I'm surprised, and sometimes in a bad way, but usually in a good way.
Well, I love earth colors, and I've been accused of using a very limited palette, but I do love, maybe because I grew up in a farm where it was lots of earth color, and some green and blue. But anyway, I love textures too, like earthiness, and even though it's sometimes just implied, I have had periods where I worked with sand and collage and so forth, and so I think it influences the imagery, even though I'm working on a flat surface now without any extra thing but the paint itself. I like to use layering in my work. I love the idea of trying to capture light, and sometimes I feel like if you have transparent layers one over the other, it helps to encourage the idea of seeing light and color from underneath, as well as fresh paint on top. And as far as the concepts in my painting, they are very narrative, and people ask, what is the story? I don't really plan the story in advance. I start with maybe just one figure, and then I begin building the environment, and I start seeing more figures. And I love the idea of things out of focus and in focus. And so there is a dreamlike aspect, I'm sure.
Creativity has really helped me, it healed me basically, working with my hands and making the dreams come true into physical reality for me has brought me so much joy. And I just hope that when people see my work and Frank's work also, that they feel somehow inspired. Hopefully you'll get some kind of inspiration to create something in your life, whether it's a painting or a poem, or even cleaning out your drawers or cooking a beautiful dinner can be so creative. It's just in how you are present with yourself as you work and notice the things around you. And I think it's basically curiosity and appreciation. Those are my two things that I hope that you take away. Thank you so much.
I have a gallery in Denver, Sandra Phillips, and she has a website, and she has a lot of material that she's collected on my background, and I think that what I have shows there, she posted on her website.
Yeah. So you don't have a website for your...
No, I don't even have a computer. Oh gosh.
I invite you to visit my website at carolinedouglas.com, where you can learn more about my story and see my work and see my workshops. I take people on workshops all around the world, and join my email list too, and I'll let you know about local happenings. Thank you.